Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this presentation of scams against seniors and people with disabilities. And before we get started today, I would just like to talk to you a moment about the CIL of Northwest Florida and our mission. Our mission here at CIL is to promote, educate, facilitate, and assist and advocate with and on behalf of people with disabilities in partnership with their communities to achieve their goals for independence. We serve Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa and Walton counties. We have 5 core services: individual and systems advocacy, information and referral, independent living skills training, peer counseling and mentoring, and transition services. Other programs and activities include the FAST program, or the Assistive Technology Program, Amplified Telephone Program, equipment loan at no charge to the consumer, social and recreational activities, support groups, community education and training, and we are a regional demonstration center and a consultant for all titles of the Americans with Disabilities Act. If you would like to get in touch with us, you can do so by coming to our office at 21 South Tarragona Street, Suite 101. For appointments, you can always call 850-595-5566. and get in touch with us, and our receptionist will put you in with the right person. You can also contact us by email at info@cilnwf.org or visit our website at www.cilnwf.org. Next slide. So I have a few tips for a successful training. If you will stay on mute during this training, if you have questions, you can put your questions either in the chat box, and we can answer those questions at the end of the presentation. The closed caption will appear at the bottom of your screen. You can choose the way that you would like to have captions be prompted. And if, like I said, if you would type your questions in the chat or make notes, we will be available. We can verbally discuss those questions at the end of the session. If you would rather wait, then you can contact us again, and we can get you in touch with the right person to answer those questions. And most of all, enjoy the presentation. Next slide.
Hello, my name is Ivonne Perez-Suarez, and I am I'm with the Division of Consumer Services with the State of Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. My position within the division is Outreach Coordinator, and I cover 6 counties in South Florida. Next. Today, I'm going to talk to you, first introduce you to our department, and also talk to you about how we can assist the Florida consumers and our visitors on potential consumer fraud and consumer complaints. I'm going to talk about also what you can do to protect yourself, what are the latest frauds being committed, and where you need to reach out to. So our Division of Consumer Services serves in the state of Florida as the clearinghouse for consumer information and complaints. Why do you contact us? There are 3 reasons. You contact us first because you are interested in finding out, researching a charitable organization. All charitable organizations within the state of Florida need to be registered with the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. So you want to contact or want to find out about a charitable organization or a business. within one of the industries that we regulate. So that's number one. Number two, you may not know where to go with a consumer complaint. And number three, you want to file a consumer complaint, and there are three ways that you can file that within our department. Next. So again, you need to check out a business or charity. You need to file a consumer complaint, or you do not know where else to go, and you can contact us. Next. Okay. So within our department, there's certain regulatory programs that we regulate, and this is the list of programs. What does it mean for us to regulate? It means that if you are interested in opening up a business within one of these industries, you would have to register with us before you register with the county or with the city that you're going to open up your business in. So there's a lot of different things that we do. We do agricultural dealers license. We do the fair rides, like your youth fairs or your church fairs. All those rides we inspect. We also do the Florida Do Not Call list, which is where you add on your phone number, so to avoid or minimize robocalls. So that's just an example of a few. Complaints. Last year, in 221, next, you can, so the department processed 35,000 complaints. And next, we secured almost $2.4 million in refunds. And we assisted 190,274 residents. And then we did that through calls, through chat rooms and emails, which is the way to reach us. Next. Now, last year, the top 5 complaints, the first one was unsolicited communication. And you'll see petroleum, moving and storage. Moving, we oversee the interstate moving companies, okay? Landlord tenant at number 3, and motor vehicle repair shops, which is also under our department. So those are the numbers of complaints that we received for the top 5 complaints. Next. What were the top 10 scams targeting adults? The Medicare and health insurance fraud, the counterfeit prescription, because a lot of times seniors are looking for less expensive medication. The funeral and cemetery scams, the fraudulent anti-aging scams, telemarketing, those phone calls that we keep on getting, the internet fraud. You receive a link and you open up a link that you feel you're confident is legitimate, and actually it isn't, and you get all your information stolen, okay? Or they call you from Microsoft telling you that there's a malware or something within your computer to provide them with your password, and then they steal it. So investment schemes, like the Bernie Mac scheme, a lot of the people were seniors, right? The homeowner reverse mortgage scams, those are usually the person committing the fraud is usually the caregiver or a family member. The sweepstakes and lottery scams, it's, for example, we do not do the Florida lottery, but we do like phone calls that you get, oh, you've won a cruise for 2, but you have to send us $500 for just the processing fee, okay? And the grandparent scam is when a grandchild allegedly calls the grandparent, the senior, and tells them, I'm in trouble, wire me money, and it's not legitimate. Next. So a scammer, a profile, like any other criminal, there's a profile for scammers, and the scammers follow the headlines. Next. They change with the headlines. So we saw from like COVID. So we saw the things that were taking place during COVID, all the scams there. The scammers are also professional. They know exactly how to go about doing the scam, and they know exactly how to take advantage. And they use high pressure tactics and appeals to emotion. Now, in the state of Florida, we are very susceptible because we have 3 different reasons. We are a very transient state, so it's easy to do these things, just come in and out. We have a very high senior population, and we also have the language barrier. A lot of people are coming in from different countries, are not familiar with the language, and they're also not familiar with the laws. So it's very easy for them to get scammed. Okay. Next. Scammer tactics. They pretend to be someone that you trust. Scammers create a sense of urgency. You need to wire me the money because, or within an hour, if I don't get the money, we'll have law enforcement at your door. Scammers use intimidation and fear, for example, what I just mentioned, and untraceable methods of, they ask for untraceable methods of payments, which would be wire transfers, reloadable cards or gift cards are nearly impossible to attract. We have to be very careful with seniors and especially with seniors with disabilities. You just become more susceptible because for the person committing the fraud, they're going to be under the impression that that's a more caring age, that also these people tend to be lonelier. Maybe they live alone. So they take advantage of all these kinds of things. There will be someone there to protect them from these things, right? And then they'll be too embarrassed to report the scam. So we have to be extra careful. Especially we have to make aware the caregivers as well and the family members of what is going on and how their loved one can fall victim. Next. So some top 10 identity theft facts and statistics. It happens every 2 seconds, which is completely amazing. It happens most in the medical industry. Okay, we have to be very careful how we use our social security number. Your child's ID can be stolen, and I'll go into that a little later. It can happen online or offline. Social media makes you more susceptible because of the information you're putting out, and even without knowing it, you're creating a trace. The criminal can trace you, your habits, your family members. They will know the in and outs of your life without you ever meeting them. Okay, so that's how. There are over 7 million victims last year. More than 1 billion records were leaked. Identity thieves could steal everything you have. We have an older gentleman here in Dade County who owned his house, his car, everything was paid for, had a new caregiver. She started a friendship with him, developed a close relationship with him. He has no family. She conned him into signing some paper for something that he thought was for her. And he's lost his home, his car, his bank account. He is homeless. Okay, so we have to be extra careful. Number 9, it can take millions of hours to recover, and that starts taking a toll on the person emotionally and even physically. And you can minimize but not eliminate your risk. So the important thing here is to learn how we can minimize and how we can best protect ourselves. Next. So senior scams. So what puts seniors at risk for scams? Okay, this is seniors with or without disabilities. Okay, could be congenital problems. You suffer memory loss, Alzheimer's, dementia, a stroke. You are going to be even more susceptible. Isolation, because it just makes them more vulnerable. Access or limited access, I'm sorry, physical or otherwise. Underreporting of the crime. Many people, there's a sense of, I'm ashamed that it happened to me. I should have known better. And who am I going to go to with this problem? So many don't know even also where to report the fraud or the scam. Friendliness. Some people tend to be a lot more friendlier. You're just a lot more open. Same thing when you have maybe memory loss or Alzheimer's or some kind of other disability, limited advocacy. There are not a lot of groups that may be standing up and being a voice for, for them. No one to speak up for them. The age, even younger seniors, very college educated, they lose more money than those who are not, okay? Because they think they're very money savvy, but they fall into the same tactic. So financial savviness is really important. Telemarketing calls, people tend to pick up the phone, and if I say, oh, and I'm the person committing the fraud, oh, is this, John, or is this Mary? And the person quickly says yes. Well, I have there some information where I can start a conversation with you. So it's, if you can't identify the caller, just let it go to voicemail. And then there's financial exploitation. People think that, the older you are, the more, money you may have because you haven't saved. And a lot of older folks and folks with disabilities, they're also, they receive financial assistance. So that's another reason why they would want to take their information. Okay. Next. Older Americans are also less likely to report fraud because they may not know who to report it to. They feel ashamed to say anything. They may remain unaware that they have been scammed. This is why a responsible caregiver or family member needs to be on top of their things. They may be concerned that relatives will think that they have lost their ability to handle their own affairs. So why target seniors? They have money. They are more trusting, the empty nesters kind of thing. Next. They often have memory problems or some other kind of problems. So senior citizens are actually more likely to report scams than younger people, even though, okay? Older victims are likely to have trouble providing investigators with the details they need to find the criminals. This is something to the criminal's advantage, okay? And now anyone can commit a crime and these kinds of frauds from anywhere in the world. So that's even harder. And some scams specifically target seniors who are known to suffer from memory loss, which is very, very sad. Next. They often have other health problems, okay? Focus on many health scams, focus on seniors because they're more likely to suffer from specific health problems. Treat or prevent cancer, arthritis, the sexual functions, reverse visible signs of aging, improve physical condition. So they promise all these things that can help you, and that's how they do the scam, right? Older adults are also vulnerable to scams that center on the needs they have, okay? You have to be careful with the Social Security or the Medicare, fake investments. Next. And this is the more serious part, really. What are the repercussions of being scammed? We always talk about the scam in itself, but there are side effects. Seniors who have been victims of fraud or even an attempted fraud experience some or all of the following: physical and emotional problems, inability to recover financially, their loss of independence, diminished quality of life, loss of self-esteem, withdrawals, and feelings of shame. And unfortunately, this is perhaps a side of the frauds and scams that we really never talk about, but that it's there and that we really need to address. And that's why we have to help them with all this information and just be very wary and take care of them. Next. What scams target people with disabilities? And this would be seniors as well. Your Social Security scam. Please try to remember your Social Security numbers and your original Social Security, any important documents that you may have at home. Keep them in an extremely safe place, especially if you have caregivers coming in, okay? We had one county about 3 years ago, that was having a very serious problem with us because they were seeing an increase of ID fraud and other kinds of frauds happening to seniors who were living in alone, or even that they may not have been, but their children might not have been very aware of this, and their caregivers were taking advantage of this and stealing large number of monies. So your Social Security, because it's also important when you, especially if you receive other assistance, okay? The DEB scam, another scam that con artists use against people with disabilities are the debit forgiveness scams. Okay, they will tell you that a new program is offering to wipe up all your debts, and so this is also very something that we really need to be aware. And the tools of the trade, they're becoming more sophisticated. So they're doing it through the phone numbers, and they're doing it through probably something that will show up on your phone as a government agency, even maybe CIL, okay? So they're using those numbers to get to people, or government agencies that are legitimate, and the people would, you would use them. You would not think about not answering the call. So you need to, and you need to report that kind of thing also immediately to the Social Security number. Next. What are the common scams? Social Security scams, okay? According to the FTC, bogus Social Security calls are now the most common type of government imposter scam, which is very scary because you do not get your a new Social Security number. It has to be something very out of this world for them to give you a new one, okay? The caller might even tell the victim that their Social Security number has been suspended, okay, because it's connected to a crime or other suspicious activity. Next. The Medicare scam, and that's very important. The con artists will call the seniors and pose as Medicare representatives. They will ask the person to verify their Medicare number. They tell them that they have to pay a fee to receive a new upgraded version of the Medicare card, and we all know that does not work that way. They are warned that their Medicare card has been compromised and that they must move their money into safer accounts, quote unquote, and telling them that they need to sign up for a Medicare Part D plan, which covers prescription drugs, in order to keep their other benefits. So again, this is very important, especially for everyone that is on Medicare or receives some other kind of government assistance. Next. The fake anti-aging, because we all want to look younger. The funeral fraud. So one is related to the cost of the funeral, maybe asking you for to upgrade and things that you may not need. And the obituary section, that scam is that they will go and visit the viewing and look for the husband or the wife of the person who passed away and tell them that their spouse owed them a lot of money, and that if they don't get that money wired within a certain amount of time, then again, LE will be, law enforcement will be involved. Next. Next. Okay, so the phone scams. According to the National Council on Aging, senior citizens are about twice as likely to make purchases by phone as Americans in general. And that makes them particularly vulnerable for telemarketing scams, especially if you're dealing with someone who may have problems getting out of the house. That's even a bigger, because then they'll really need to do this, right? Most of the things they purchase will be over the phone. So we have to be extra careful. They will trick them into handing over their credit card information to purchase bogus products and services. And they, some phone scammers don't claim to be selling anything. Instead, they say they have something to give away. but they will need, again, your information. Next. The internet scams. In 2017, and this was quite a while back, but Pew survey found that senior citizens today are using the internet more than ever. You know, purchase things, get in touch with your family, all those other things. So about 2/3 of adults or over 65 go online, and over 40% own smartphones. However, only 26% of people in this age group say they feel very confident in the digital world. So what are the common scams? Phishing scams, and we have to be extra careful with that. You know, they sent you an email disguised as somebody else. Malware, links that pop up. Like I said, it could be from CIL and it looks very legitimate, and they'll open it and it's actually has malware. So it can be very harmful for the computer and you could lose everything. And the sweetheart scams. So as older people start using online dating sites at a higher rate, which, by the way, romance scam is the most common scam. And it's the most common scam, and it's also where the seniors lose the most money. Many people are not aware of this. So we have to be extra careful, because a lot of people also, you know, you feel lonely, you want to find someone at least to romance or just have a friendship with. You need to be careful with this. And they use it to bond to get extra money, okay, from the victims. And then start creating a series of fake emergencies. They start off the relationship very, very quickly and immediately start asking for money because they create emergency scenarios. Next. The investment scams, those are the charitable gift annuities. Remember, check with us before giving to any charity. Investments, phony CDs and bonds, promissory notes, sales and leaseback contracts, high pressure sales, investments, you know, like your Ponzi schemes. Next. Reverse mortgage. I had mentioned before that most of the people committing this crime tend to be a close family member or a caregiver. Okay. And it can be a useful way for people over 62 to turn their home equity into a source of regular monthly income. But when seniors see ads for reverse mortgage in their mail or on billboards or in a flyer, they should be very worried. The people advertising these services are often con artists, so we have to be very careful. Mortgage relief, phony investments, house flipping, home repairs. You know, we are expecting now, and actually as we're doing this, Nicole, hurricane or tropical storm Nicole has is been by several places. We have to be careful with the home repairs, okay? Because they'll come in and tell you, oh, I can do it for $500, and they come from different counties and not traceable. So, oh, I can do it for $500, but you know, it's actually that roof is going to cost more than $500. Extra careful, because if we are dealing with seniors with disabilities and something happens to their home and they're certain, the house needs to be a certain way, right, to accommodate for our seniors with disabilities, they will be even taken more advantage of. Okay. So if you need something with the bathroom or something with the ramp as you go into your home or any of those things, we have, and they'll tell you, oh, I can fix it for $500. You give them $500, they'll come and do nothing, or they'll never show up, rather. Next. Lottery sweepstakes, which I mentioned before. You know, you want a lottery, you want sweepstakes, but before you collect your payment, there's some sort of fee attached to it. Okay. Next, the grandparent scam, and that's very scary because they again, can be tied to social media, because now they see you have posted on your social media, perhaps the name of your grandson or granddaughter. And so now they have a little bit of information, and they will say, hey, grandma, hey, grandpa, it's me. Listen, I've been in an accident. I need money. Can you wire it? Don't ask my parents. Eviction, rent, anything. I've been arrested for drunk driving. They just create these scenarios, and the grandparent and people will actually believe that it's the grandchild. And you would think, oh, well, they recognize by the voice, but no, not necessarily. And be very careful, because if they call you and say, hey, grandma or grandpa, and you say, hey, Joey, then you're giving them the profile of the person that they need the impersonators. Okay, now you've given them a name. So he or she will go with, oh yeah, hey Joe, and tell mom and tell dad. So put them on hold and call them directly, or call your son, daughter-in-law, whatever. Just make sure that it's not them. Okay. Next. Charity scams. Again, these scams, they pop up in the wake of natural disaster, and this is not necessarily our evergreen scam. These evergreen are, for example, our motor vehicle repair shops. That's evergreen. That'll happen. But for example, charity, that's all usually hurricanes or other natural disasters. Fake charities come up. About 4 years ago, we had a hurricane come by, pass us by, and 2 days later, the department was reaching out to 140 charitable organizations that had popped up on GoFundMe that were not registered with the state of Florida. So they were collecting money without the proper paperwork to be done from our department. So they solicited a phone, email, social media, sometimes in person. Check with us first. Okay, that's the most important thing. Sometimes they use the name of other known charities just to confuse people, or names similar to other known charitable organizations just to confuse people. For example, I don't know, I can use Red Cross and then put Red Cross America, USA. So, nobody's going to look at if there's a difference. Next. How to avoid the scams. Be suspicious. If it sounds too good to be true, probably is. Don't trust the phone numbers that show up on your caller ID, because like I said, they're using government agencies, they're using hospitals, all those numbers just to go through and get. So you may see an actual number from a legitimate organization, and it could be a robocall. Protect your personal information, read the fine print, do your homework, research it. If you have any questions, call us before doing anything. Take your time, don't feel pressured. Talk it over with somebody that you trust. Just talk it over with a family member. Don't pay to play. Don't give any money in advance, such as home repairs, okay? Use traceable payments. Your credit card, and use the credit card as much as possible. Try not to use debit card. Remember, debit card is your money, credit card is the bank's money. And report the scams, and report it as soon as possible, and get all the information that you can from your conversations with the person committing the fraud. Next. How you can help seniors avoid scams. Check in often, see how they're doing. Meet any home care aides that you hire. Check in on them on a random basis. Check their credit reports, which are free once a year. You can check that. Check their call logs for possible telemarketing. Add their numbers to the Florida Do Not Call list. That's a state registration. There's a national one. Stay informed, stay educated, install antivirus virus softwares, strong VPNs. Cut out the junk mail. For a very small fee, you can register at DMA Choice, and they will cut your junk mail. Also, the U.S. Postal Service has on their app. It's free, and you can subscribe to that, and you will get on a daily basis a photo with all the mail that you will be receiving. These are completely free. Don't blame the victim. Don't shame them because it's already very hard on them. Help them help others. Inform them. Monitor accounts. Next. Where to report abuse, financial abuse, protective services, file a police report, contact advocate organizations, getting restraining order if it needs to be done from the court, or exploring options at your local probate court. Okay. Police departments usually have a financial fraud division, either at a city or a county level. Next. Quick tips to avoid fraud. Don't give out personal information. As I said, make sure that you have it in a very safe place. Don't feel intimidated. Don't pay with a wire transfer or gift cards. Don't rely on caller ID displays, and ignore unsolicited offers. Just let it go. You do not have to answer them. Have you been a victim? Report the problems. Try to resolve the disputes as soon as possible. If it's price gouging, the state attorney's office will handle that. In your local consumer protection office, you will contact us as well. Legal services organizations as well. So just remember to report your fraud. We have the hurricane, so now report fraud, waste, or abuse involving FEMA disaster assistance programs that you do through the you need to contact the Department of Homeland Security and report the scams. You report them to us, and we will take it from there. Next, also with the FTC. What our department offers as far as education and outreach, we offer webinars such as this. We offer, you can subscribe to our newsletters. We service the public in English and in Spanish, so we have newsletters in Spanish as well, and brochures, and you can go directly to the link of our division, which is floridaconsumerhelp.com. And here are some samples of our brochures. And these are the numbers where you can reach us. floridaconsumerhelp.com. Then we have an 1-800 number for where they will assist you in English, and 1-800-FL-Ayuda, where they'll assist you in Spanish. We are open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And just coming up, I will be doing other seminars with CIL. November 18th, we'll be discussing fraud targeting children and young adults. And on December 2nd, we are preparing for the holidays, and we'll be talking about scams that deal with the holiday season. So I'll probably go into even February the 14th, given there are a lot of love scams going on at that time. So we'll extend it from December to February. Time for questions?
Ivonne, you did such a great job and gave so much information. There are no questions at this time, but if, like I said, if somebody wanted to send a question or pose a question later, they can always email us, and then we can make sure that those questions get to you and we get that information back to the individual. You can email us at info@CILNWF.org, or you can contact Ivonne directly, and her information is right there on the screen.
Yes, and the fastest way to reach me is via email, because I do travel. Like I said, I do presentations throughout South Florida, so I cover 6 counties. My presentations, by the way, are also in Spanish, and there are a lot of different topics that we cover.
Also like to point out that the presentations, the upcoming presentations, the ones that you mentioned on the 18th and on the 2nd of December are on, that will be held at 1 o'clock Central Time. So depending on where you are in the state of Florida, it'll be 1 o'clock Central Time. So we hope that you will join us and be part of those as we continue to talk about something that really nobody likes to talk about, nobody likes to think about. It's pretty scary, but it's necessary information, and we want to make sure that as many people have that information and the tools to kind of guard themselves against that as possible. So as much as they possibly can. So we'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to join us today, and looking forward to seeing you in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.